Howdy lads, MBs, and lasses. If you live in the Harris Branch neighborhood in Austin, Texas, my name's Anthony, and I'm still your neighbor. Also, on the board. Something I needed to express here, albeit it has been done before. This is a channel that is not monetized and represents my personal analysis of the HOA and events that occur in the Harris Branch neighborhoods.
But this is not official.
For official information, as always, you got to go to Town Square. That's where it's posted. I always post that link below in the description so you can find it there. Make sure you set up an account. Additionally, there are other links to other social medias run by our neighbors. Feel free to give them support and check out what's going on in the neighborhood.
You're supposed to be at my party!
This election year has been a... Y'all, I'm sure you are reeling as much as we are from something as simple as a special meeting with an officer reorganization. But sadly, there has been a final update to this video that occurred on August 8th in regard to the special meeting. There will not be one today. For those that saw the last video before I took it down, sadly that timeline no longer the one we live in. I'm going to give an explanation for why now and include the video that was posted in its entirety that went up after the now nullified special meeting for transparency. For those who thought we were in the clear in regards to the officer reorganization, it was brought to the HOA board's attention that when Goodwin pulled the Ring Central link and asked us to come up with our own 5 hours before our special meeting on August 2nd, they in effect invalidated the meeting per the Open Meetings Act, which requires the link to remain the same for a total of 72 hours for special meetings. The HOA attorney confirmed the following: there's no damages, it's not illegal, he simply recommended redo it, redo the minutes, and then move on. Once we, the board, were made aware of this issue, the board was told by Goodwin that they would not post a notice on our behalf. Ian Knight with Goodwin stated the following regarding the board majority approved and viewed notices that you all should have received if you have your Town Square email updates enabled. He said, quote, "In our call, I asked that the board sees and reviews posts before they are made on Town Square. This did not happen per your screenshots." He's talking about my personal screenshots with other board members in text, evidencing that you drove the conclusion to which you call, quote, majority agreement, end quote. I'm going to put some stuff up on the screen. Make sure to pause and pay attention to some things. I want you to look at the names on, including the timestamps of the emails to the full board, and then look at what the timestamp is of the Town Square post that was sent out. The screenshots to which he refers are text messages, as I mentioned, but they were for verification of approval from the majority of the board after the notice was sent in email for them to review. Now, as for what I call a majority, as far as I know, 3 or more members on a 5-member board is a majority. I'll never understand infantilizing grown adults who are volunteering for this thankless position by suggesting that I have some mind control over their independent decisions. It has been something that we have seen from Vanessa, and is something that we now have seen from Ian. So we had to send the notice to the full board. Juan added in Vanessa, thankfully, as you saw in the screenshot, and we had 3 board members approving posting it. On top of that, in the screenshot, you'll see the HOA board attorney said, looks great. This is strange behavior for a director of Goodwin Management to make that claim, then turn around and remove the board's code of ethics clarification, which, by the way, go back, pause it, read it. It will clarify exactly what it is. That is coming straight from the attorney and is not an educated wish. In addition, clarification on the code of ethics was asked for by the community. So this is exactly the majority of the board responding to a request of the constituents that we represent. Then on top of that, Ian removed the notice to redo the special meeting that was supposed to happen August 9th at 7:30 today. Instead, he removed the notice, thus causing us again to violate the 72-hour Notice Act, and we would have to redo the meeting. Now, 3 out of the 5 officers put this motion forward. 1 abstained, didn't respond, and the other, obviously, Vanessa, the president, is not going to vote to remove herself after we've asked her nicely to step down. I've even offered to step down as VP if she stepped down as president. Vanessa, I'll stand down when you stand down. Show you I'm not here for power control. You want to do it? I'll relinquish it right now.
Want to do what?
Relinquish your presidency.
Isn't that what you already, all of you have already voted for me to do anyway? Or voted for yours?
So why are you holding out?
Because I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I think that we need to fix our positions. You've been on this board
I think
for 10 years.
they have both highlighted that you and I have a problem, and they have both all said that we need to fix this. Let's step away from our officer
That's
roles.
not what he said. He said
That's
we
my
need to have a
solution.
room.
And I'm offering it to you. Do you guys think that's...
Vanessa, why do you want to be president?
I think because I have the knowledge and expertise of how to work with people.
Are we talking about the same person?
And she refused. Ian pulled our notice and then took away all of our admin rights to post on Town Square. He then proceeded to force the board to re-vote again after 3 separate times where we had said, this is the motion, this is the second, with 3 majority carries it. To complete this officer reorganization is at this point, though, that he was able to hop on a call and flipped a member who originally had said they were supportive and who made the motion back in June to vote no for the reorganization. It appears that Goodwin has decided that all of this craziness that has occurred, remember, who's been the president, who has been the leader of this board the entire time of all of this? Not me, not Jose, not Tony, not Vinny, Vanessa. Vanessa has been the leader. So keep that in mind when you're wondering, why is this still happening? Why are we still here? And she's still the president, so she will be hosting the next meeting. And on top of that, she will be the president with the rubber stamp of approval that took months of dragging it out, not holding the president to the agenda. If you attended the meeting before last, where we did not follow the agenda at all, there was no order. Then the board was not present because of multiple issues, myself not going because the president can't stick to the agenda and refuses to call votes that she doesn't like, and on and on. To Goodwin, the democratic process of board voting only counts if the president decides it does. I'm sure most of you aren't happy with them as our management company, and this is just one more major concern that should be remembered. With that, I'll roll the video of the world that we could have had, or at least until September, to dream. A historic one nationally, and it's on track to not be outdone by our Harris Branch one.
This is an election year.
Before we go into that and the special meeting regarding the new board officers, we have to cover some basics of our bylaws and how elections work in Harris Branch. Our elective representatives serve 2-year terms. They rotate between 3 positions and 2 positions on a yearly basis. This election has 2 folks up, myself and Tony. Tony is finishing out Valerie's term as she quit before it ended. There are no term limits, and anyone who owns a home and isn't disqualified by the state laws are able to and encouraged to run. I'll put up the Texas Residential Property Owners Protection Act so you can read the few things that can disqualify a person from being on the board. Feel free to pause and read. Each year, once the elections for board membership are completed, the 5 members elected by the community work together to elect their slate of officers. Despite this narrative that has been floating around recently, homeowners don't elect the officer positions. The board does this via a vote. We have 4 officer positions up each time: president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and the last one is just a director, a member of the board. Per the bylaws that will be quoted in the special meeting later in this video, the board can call to reorganize its officers if a majority of them vote to. They can do it without the president. That's the nature of a democracy. It can be done at a normal meeting, or a special meeting can be held to address it. The board attempted to address a reorganization at the June meeting, at which it was unable to.
And I'm not out of order. You're out of order. The whole freaking system is out of order.
Feel free to watch the video at the end of this one that goes into more details regarding that. In the interest of returning order and reason, the majority of the board called for a special meeting and to handle the reorganization at that point. As this was a special meeting, there was no homeowner forum, and per the bylaws quoted later in this video, it only addressed the agenda items sent out to the community. Now, this is where things may have gotten confusing. It certainly wasn't fun for me to address circa 5 hours before the meeting in the middle of my workday, but Goodwin had stated they would provide the needed resources for this and the Ring Central link that was sent out for homeowners to attend for the appropriate 3-day notice if they wanted to watch it. Sadly, Goodwin pulled that support the day of the meeting and stated that the board would need to host it on their own. It left me having to spend my own money to sign up for Ring Central account and quickly get that link over to Goodwin to update the notice. That notice was sent out and posted on Town Square. Although the notice has been taken down,
They must change something last minute.
we plan to look into that and figure out why. The meeting occurred. It was recorded. Since it's from my account, I'm sharing here so you can see it. I have to applaud those on the board for their courage in standing together to resolve the issues that we've been facing.
You honor us with your bravery.
I'm hoping that this will give us some sense of normalcy for the remainder of the time until the election. All right, the special meeting for the Harris Branch HOA residential going to begin at 7:32 p.m. We'll do the call to order. I see that we have the treasurer and a secretary, as well as the vice president here. That makes a quorum out of the 5. At this point, we'll count Vanessa and Jose absent. So we'll do the roll call. That's been completed. This meeting will be hosted by the VP, as the president, Vanessa Silas, has refused to follow the directive of the majority of the board. Please understand, as mentioned in the notice, this meeting will only discuss the business as stated in the agenda. Members will not have the opportunity to comment at this time, and we will release further statements to address concerns or questions at a later time. We highly recommend submitting them via email to Goodwin. We want to thank you all for your interest in the meeting and for your interest in the proceedings of this special meeting. However, as this is a special meeting per Article 2, Association, Membership, Meetings, Quorum, Voting, and Proxies, Section 4, Special Meetings, no business shall be transacted at a special meeting except as stated in the notice. 3, the new business. A, the removal of board president. The board had requested the president, Vanessa Silas, step down on June 8th. The president refused to set aside their position of power while remaining a director for the remainder of their term, keeping their, quote, one voice, one vote, unquote. The motion for officer reorganization on June 13th, due to the behavior unbecoming of an officer, abuse of power, and sharing of misinformation to the community at large, was seconded and voted to approve by board majority, digitally per Article 4, Officers, Section 3. B, we have the appointment and reorganization of officers. The board proposes the following slate of officers, and if I mess up your last names, my apologies. We propose Director Vanessa Silas, Director Jose Morales, Secretary Anthony Cangelo, Treasurer Vinny Guariz, Vice President Anthony Murray, and of note, the presidency was offered to remaining officers, to which they declined. However, per the HOA attorney, we must fill that position, and as the VP, president would be Anthony Murray at this time. Per Article 4, Officers, Section 1, officers, any 2 or more offices may be held by the same person except the offices of president and secretary. This current slate of officers will be temporary until the upcoming election, when the board will host officer elections again. Is there a second?
I second that, Vinny.
There's a second on the floor. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That's the same signs. The ayes have it. That is the majority of the board. Vanessa Silas is no longer recognized as the president of the residential HOA. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will be releasing statements and answering questions in the upcoming meetings and via email with Goodwin and the attorney. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
As you can see, pretty plain and simple, by the book. We were able to get it done in reasonable time, and all the information was presented and the vote was tallied. Thank you to all of those of you who reached out in support during this saga.
We couldn't do what we do without it.
I can't impress how important it has been to hear from you, and hopefully with this new direction and leadership, we can make the HOA boring again and get back to business. With that all being said, if you enjoy watching this coverage, analysis, and getting these updates, feel free to hit subscribe below. That way you'll get a notification when I post. The meetings have been all sorts of off. I hope to get us back to those on time every third Thursday, but we'll see how things go. Until then, y'all stay safe out there. Take care. Bye.